So I made a video last night that ended up being a two-parter. Each one was an hour, where I went on a bit of a tirade about stuff that has nothing to do with my Lego hobby. So I decided to scrap those. I will not. It doesn't matter. I was putting away the Lego, the pieces from the lot into my collection, sorting them out and putting them into the various bins behind me. And during that process, you saw that in the video before, that I had those extra space pieces, and I decided to, for whatever reason, build the extra 918. And the reason why I knew we had an extra 918 is because it was 4x6 plate, trans yellow plate. Now, unlike this one where I tried to use all the pieces from the lot, and so you get the very bad discoloration on a lot of the old light gray pieces. When I was building this one, I tried to find the best pieces I could find out of my collection, as well as the lot. So if the lot was even slightly damaged or yellowed, I just threw it in the lot and I grabbed a different piece because I happen to have the bin out here anyway because I was putting the pieces into the bin. Obviously, it doesn't have the 918 brick because this is the last one I have. I need extra 2 on this guy and 1 on this guy. So, but I decided to build them. Oh, it looks like I have to replace the antenna. It doesn't look that good. But I actually may do a bricklink order. Just because now I need 3. If I keep all these together, I need 3 LL918 bricks. Or I might actually just make them with my Cricut, because my Cricut cutter made the letters and numbers on the space layout now, and I've used them for up here. Now I actually found a better font since this. This is Microgramma, and it's the same font except it's not bolded, and you can tell when you look at that's bolded, and this is not. I like this, but I did that a bunch of years back from the Cricut. So, but I found, I only downloaded Microgramma years ago, and it was just the one font. And when I bolded it, I think that back there is actually bolded, but I found the new one that's like extended bold, and it looks exactly like that now, as far as I know. I haven't printed it off yet, but I just might make my own bricks. Printed bricks, obviously, not stenciled bricks. Or I might bricklink them. I don't know. Color me undecided. But I decided to build the best 918 I possibly could with the pieces I had. And not too much yellowed on this one. So happy about that. And in that process, I believe that this set was not in the lot because there was very few pieces. There was this piece that was left over. There was the handgun. There was the console. A few 2x plates and 1x plates, but it didn't have all the steering wheel. Like as I said, there's a steering wheel here that was busted still. So and none of these rocket thrusters that came in the mid-70s sets for pontoons for helicopters and stuff. It didn't have the back tail fin. It didn't have the speakers, the loudspeakers / thrusters. But I like this set, so I thought, since I had this piece and this piece and this console here and a few 1x and 2x plates, I just might as well build it, because I years ago when we did our first couple space layouts, I had 4 or 5 of those distributed all over the layout. After that, when Jeff and I started getting really serious about it, somehow they all got broken up and put back into the bins, and I don't think I had one. Maybe 1. I think I might have 1 in the layout now, but I missed having 4 or 5 of them. And so this is, yeah, actually, I remember this. I do have 1 in the wooden storage containers outside. But it's nice. It's a very, I won't say simplistic set. It actually has a little bit of substance for such a small set. And I like how they did the wings, like the vertical V. They didn't use the 4x8s, they used the 4x4s. It looked like a delta wing. And again, the pontoon slash thrusters, I thought that was a neat way of doing it. Very, very few other Lego sets, space sets back in the day had those things in them, but a few did. Um, and it's a cool looking runabout, as they would say in Star Trek. It looks like a cute little runabout that you just take, get from spot A to spot B along. Like, it's not going to go out in big adventures. It's just to get you from point A to point B inside your space layout. So I built both those last night. Before I continued putting stuff away, and I still have more stuff to put away, but I decided to pull that out and make a video about it. So this is all the space sets that I built. These guys grabbed a lot of pieces from my collection. This one, besides the printed brick, a couple blue bricks, and maybe one or two 2x plates. The rest of it came from my collection. The wing plates did, because I didn't have any more wing plates at all, and I wanted to grab the best wing plates I had. The thrusters came from my set. The trans little 1x1 plates came from the collection, and even the back cone, which again will be original. Because I do like to do that, and nobody's going to know that besides you and me watching this video. That is the original thruster 4x4x2 cone, and not the one with the cross axle in it. I may have had a few Galaxy Explorers in the layout previously that used the newer light gray thruster that had the axle hole in it. I'm sorry. I'm not going to be that pedantic about it. But anyway, the other thing that I went on before I went into my huge tirade on last night's video, that turned out again to be 2 hours, was I always liked, it's not symmetry, it's not the word I'm looking for, but something that's appeasing to the eye. Note when I started this video that all the sets were facing the same direction, right? And that's just for staging, as they say, and hopefully I won't say equidistant apart, because they're not going to be equidistant apart. I don't get a measuring tape out and make sure there's like 3 centimeters between each one, but I tried to make it look like they're not crowded, but they're not too much space in between them from specific angles. Like somebody said, the Enterprise from Star Trek looks really beautiful from many angles, but there's some angles when you're filming the Enterprise, it looks like complete crap. Especially Dash D, and that's why I didn't like Dash D for the first couple of seasons of Next Generation. It took me a while to get used to, and now that I'm used to it after 30 years of Next Generation, I really liked the Dash D and NCC 1701 Dash D. But when the Next Gen first premiered, I couldn't stand it. Straight up, I did not like the Enterprise D at all. It was dark. It was not looking like the old Enterprise or the Enterprise from the movies. It was too curvy, not enough sharp lines on it. But after, I think it was about season 4 or 5, and I'm glad they didn't do the saucer separation too many times. Like they did it in the pilot, and they did it in that Minos episode when the robots are trying to kill everybody. And what's his name? The comedian was the robot or the computer interface. If I think hard enough, I could probably remember more times in the series that they separated the saucer, but I don't think they separated it more than 6 or 7 times throughout the entire run of they did it in Best of Both Worlds, obviously. Commander Shelby and Riker going after rescuing Jean-Luc Lucidas. Best of Both Worlds, they separated the ship. I can't remember too many other times in the series when they separated it off the top of my head. I know they did it in the first movie, Generations, before they blew up the entire thing. But it was actually sad. It wasn't as sad as Star Trek 3. I'll be straight up with you. Let's go off on this tangent. I didn't cry. I'm not one of those guys that cried over the Enterprise, the original Enterprise, the refitted Enterprise burning up in the Genesis planet atmosphere. But it hurt. I'll be straight up. And it wasn't because like I'm attached to the actual ship. It's what the ship stood for since I was 4 years old. It was the Enterprise, for crying out loud. It was Star Trek, the hope of the future, the hope of better things to come, the hope of exploration and going out there and doing the right thing. Like Star Trek was always about doing the right thing for humanity. And humanity, as they said in Star Trek 6, like Spock was like a little offended when Kirk said, we're all human. Spock says, I'm insulted by that. When I use the humanity, it's the same thing I said, hey, you guys, and there's girls involved. I don't think it can be construed as sexist and limiting to 50% of the population, but I don't think it's a male when I think of, hey, guys, and I should start thinking that way because that's what you're supposed to do in a woke environment, and I perfectly agree with that. But when I say humanity, I don't mean people, Homo sapiens, same genetic code. Humanity has to do better. When I say humanity has to do better, then I am referring to people, and they have to do better for the planet, better for each other, better for the future, better for everything. But when I say, where was I going with this? Oh yeah, so the Enterprise. Too many tangents already. This is how I got to do ours yesterday, by the way. Except that was a completely different topic. It hurt. Like, I remember seeing the commercials. I don't know if I ever talked about this. I remember seeing the commercials, the previews before Star Trek 3 was in the theaters, and they showed the clip of the primary hull being half gone, and I thought to myself, oh, that's going to take a little bit of work to fix. It's going to be a little work to buff out that scratch. I remember seeing that, and I went it because it was before spoilers and before the internet, before whatever. I remember walking in. Here's the stupid Trekkie I am. I saw, besides Star Trek, my friends will remind me of this. Besides Star Trek 5, I saw every Star Trek 1 through 6 on opening night and the earliest possible showing. As a matter of fact, my friend Sean, who worked at the theater in Stony Creek, got me in to see Star Trek 4 2 days before it opened to the general public. So we got special sneak passes, and we got to see Star Trek 4 on a Wednesday when it opened on a Friday. But Star Trek 3, I walked in opening night, had no idea that spoiler, they're going to blow up the Enterprise. So, because the commercials did not prepare me for that. They thought, oh, it's going to, they have to blow it up. They're going to take it back to the starbase and fix it. Turns out that's not what happened. So I was, when I look back at it, I wasn't like shocked and awe. It was part of the story, and I'm glad, it was part of the story, because you do have to let physical things go in order to save better things. Like a physical object, an inanimate object, is not more important than people or animals or whatever. Nothing inanimate is more important than something that's alive and can do good. I mean, there's a balance and blah, blah, blah. But overall, in the general sense, just like, the 80-20 rule, in the general sense, living, breathing, heart, blood flowing entities are more important than inanimate objects, period. You shouldn't save. There is an old, this is exactly how my mind works and how eclectic it is. There was a comic strip called Andy Cap way back in the day, in the 70s, and I think it might have been British, but it was husband and wife, and it was like a cute little 4-panel comic strip. And I remember getting the comic, like the collection, the anthologies, and those little paperbacks that they used to have even for Peanuts, like Charlie Brown and stuff like that, and Broomhilda and all that stuff. But Andy Cap, and I loved it. I think my parents always bought us those anthologies when we went to Tobermory, so the kids would have them to look at and read when they were going to Tobermory. 6-hour trip back then. Now it's 4. But and I don't even know why I remember this. I have no idea, no earthly idea from when I was 6 or 7 years old, in the Andy Cap comic book anthology of all the newspaper comics that I collected for a year and a half and put it in there. There's a 4 panels, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And in the first one, you got the side view, the portfolio of the profile of the house. And usually Andy Cap had a lot of comics that just basically had the profile of the house looking sideways, so that you had the brick and the sidewalk. And you can see that there's a front door sideways, and you can see smoke billowing out of the door. And then the second panel, you see Andy Cap running out, holding the TV and putting it down. And the third panel, he runs back in. And the fourth panel, he runs back out with his wife, right? And she's giving him a nasty look. He says, "What? I saved you," like, or something like that. Some I don't know what the actual text was, but basically the idea was, she's mad at him because he saved the TV first, and he's going, "What are you mad at me for? I saved you." In the end. So just thinking about the Enterprise blowing up and people are before inanimate objects, just all of a sudden, this is how my mind works. I thought about the Handicap cartoon that I read 50 or 48 years ago, the comic book, where he saved the TV first because the TV, quote unquote, is what they're trying to convey to you, was more important than his wife, even though he did save his wife because it was important to save his wife. I wouldn't do that. I would let this entire thing burn before I even let harm come to my kid and my wife. Like, Lego is such, it's just inanimate, and I would not shed a tear if something happened to my collection. I'd be angry if somebody came and stole it. I'd be upset because, again, the years of collecting, but I would never, ever, ever put the Lego collection or my DVD collection or whatever I have before a person or even a pet. I'm not even going to start talking about the pet right now. And I didn't talk about that last night either, but just a really quick update. We had to put our dog down, our Friday, our puppy down, I guess, well, it's 2 weeks now, yesterday. And I'm 54 years old, and I have no problem saying this. I cried. And every once in a while since then, I get really, really misty. And it just kind of comes over me. I grew up with pets. I grew up with lots of dogs. We had lots of pets out in Winona. Some strays came by our house. I think I might have told you the story. We had strays sporadically come by our house that we would, quote unquote, adopt for a few months. We also had our own dogs that lasted 5 or 6, 7 years before they ran away or whatever. We were out in the country, and so they just disappeared. The last dog we had growing up was TC, and it was a store-bought, well, it was actually a litter from a friend, and it was a cockapoo, and it was, quote-unquote, Brian's dog, but Brian went off to university, and he stayed at the house. The dog stayed with us. So we took care of that dog, and he was a lovely dog. He was basically a Black Friday. Friday was white and a Bichon poo, but TC was black and a cockapoo, but they basically looked the same. I think TC was a little rounder along the belly than Friday was. Friday was always a good skinny dog, and TC was not. But TC had a tendency, ever since he was a puppy, that if you let him off leash, he loved to go exploring. And there's actually a few times, and this is when we lived in Winona, we found him 3 or 4 days later. Like, he would just go wandering off. and we would drive around the hood because, Highway 8's there and you could get hit and whatever, but we couldn't find him. And all of a sudden, 4 days later, he'd be at our back door scratching at it, right? Okay, so Cheesy's home from his little romp, his little, and we pick up again for 1.5 years, and then all of a sudden he'd disappear again for a while. Every time he disappeared, the first time he disappeared, we were all frantic. The second time he disappeared, he'll come home. Third time he disappeared, that didn't even, we walked up and down the street for a minute. and then the fourth time he disappeared, he never came home again. And my uncle, who lived close to us and had the 78 acres on his farm, said a couple days after we lost, or TC ran away, he says he remembers seeing a black dog up on the escarpment running away, like chasing rabbits or something. So we think he just got far too far out. We went driving up there, couldn't find him. And this is a couple days later. Like, the escarpment and past the escarpment is just a whole lot of fields, like acres and acres and square kilometers of nothing except, back then, farmers' fields. And you're not going to find this little small black dog. We put things in the local grocery store, missing black dog. Still had to call her TC, called the SPCAs or whatever at the time. Nobody saw him. We tried for a couple weeks, never saw him again. That was sad. But I don't remember ever crying over a disappearing or a dog that passed away in our care when we were growing up. We took the best care we possibly could of every pet we had. My dad had a hunting dog when I was first born, a black lab named Pepper. Beautiful dog. My first dog I remember having. And that dog, unfortunately, we had the government buildings across the street where they parked out the snowplows, and they had some rat poison over there to keep the rodents down. And Pepper got into it and he passed away. And then he was already 14 or 15 years old. So that was very sad. I remember that. I was like 4 or 5 or 6. That was sad to me, but I don't remember crying. I might have cried, but again, I can't ask my mom. I might have cried about it. But after that, we had a beautiful little dog named Taffy. It died, unfortunately, due to an accident. Again, out in the country, things happen. But we had other dogs that lasted for years, and we had a stray that stayed with us for well over 2 or 3 years, and we already had since we had Pepper's kennel still, and this was an outdoor dog, was a stray. He stayed with us, and we fed him, and we took care of him, and blah blah blah, and then one day he just decided to go somewhere else, like the little hobo. Our friends had dogs and they would leave them with us because we're out in the country with a big yard and a big field around us, and dogs loved it. And we had these big, huge St. Bernards, Jim and Jean Townsend's, Sheba and something else. I can't remember the other dog's name, that they would leave us when they're going to Acapulco for vacation. And they would leave their dogs with us. And they're wonderful. They're huge. They're bigger than me when I was a kid, right? Just big, big, fluffy dogs. And I love those dogs. And then they quote unquote lent us one for a couple of years. It stayed with us because they had the 2, and the 2 of them too big for the house. So we had one for a while. Loved those dogs. And as I said, the last dog we had that I remember very, very vividly was TC. And we got that dog from the same litter as our friend anyway. And he was with us for years until he ran away. And then my dad said no more dogs, period. No. So we never got a dog after that. And all my friends had dogs growing up. I have friends now that have dogs growing up, or now, and we love dogs. And a lot of our neighbors here where we live now have dogs. And we babysat some of the dogs sometimes, or they go on vacation somewhere. Loved it. And so 14 years ago, Sandy and I were just out at the mall one night, and the mall at that time had a pet store in it. And we went in there, and we went there on a Wednesday. So here's the story. Since we're already halfway into it, so I wasn't going to talk about it because it just makes me misty. So we go in there on a Wednesday. It's after work, and it's the same mall we go to for lunch, but it doesn't matter. So we go in there Wednesday after work, and we have our little meal there. And Sandy and I, okay, let's get really personal about this. So Sandy and I were told clearly by her doctor we could not have kids without massive medical intervention. Cannot have kids. So I was well past, I was basically 40 at the time. I was well past thinking that I was ever going to be dead anyway, so it didn't matter to me that much. It mattered a little more to Sandy, but in the end, we can't have kids. Maybe we started talking about adoption, whatever. So that's when we first got married, and a couple of years go by, or I guess a while goes by after we're married, and we're in the mall, and we go into the pet store because they had cute little puppies, right? We were there a couple weeks earlier looking at the cute little puppies, and there wasn't any dog there cute dogs. Oh, seriously cute dogs. No, I wasn't interested. Was not interested at all in any dog the first time we went to the same pet store. The second time we go to the pet store, there's this little white fluffy dog. They put the little fence up, the little temporary fence up, and like a 4-foot circle, and right in the middle is this little cute white fluffy dog. And isn't that cute? And I pick him up, and this is what I do. I just hand him to Sandy, and the dog snuggles right into her ear, just snuggles right into her cheek, and it's just the cutest little thing. And she goes, "Oh, it's so cute," and I'm already feeling something. And I said, I picked up dogs my entire life. Every time I have a friend, whatever, I never felt, hey, I really want this dog. It's a nice dog. I'm going to take care of it. But here you have him back, right? TC was, sad because he ran away, and I was upset about that, and that carries over. But in the end, we're a married couple. We have lots of things to do with our lives. We can go exploring. We're booking trips to Europe, stuff like that. We're talking about it. I pick up this white dog, and that was Wednesday. Now, the other thing is, this is the same mall, and I think I just quickly talked about this earlier. This is the same mall that I go to at lunchtime with my friends from work every single Friday since I started working with them. For 20 years, we go to the same mall, to the same food court for lunch, and we do some shopping, and we go back to the office for the afternoon on a Friday. So I knew I was going to be back at that mall on a Friday. So Wednesday night, we leave the shopping mall, put the dog back in the cage, we leave the shopping mall. So Thursday, I can't stop thinking about this little puppy, right? And I said, if that, in my head, if that dog is there on Friday, I'm going to get the dog. So we go, my buddies and I, we go to there on Friday. We have our lunch. I have my A&W Wendy burger, my mama burger, not Wendy burger, my mama burger. And then I go over to the pet store, not thinking that, because pets don't usually stay. Dogs usually don't stay for more than 2 or 3 days. I walk into the pet store and there's the dog inside the cage again. And then he's looking at me like he knew I was coming, right? So I pick him up. He's looking at me. I walk over to the counter. I want to buy this dog. Okay. So here's $1,000 for this dog, and another $500 for the crate that carried the dog in, and a few other miscellaneous things like bowls and food. And I'm not telling Sandy anything yet. I haven't even told her yet. So I take the dog back to my office where I was working at a cubicle. And of course, everybody at the office, oh, a cute little puppy. So I have the dog inside the crate under my desk. I take a picture of the dog in my lap. He basically sat in my lap all afternoon. I was working on the computers, and I sent it to Sandy. I said, I got you a present. Right? I think she still has that picture somewhere. And this is 13 and a half years ago. And then she's just completely giddy with excitement, right? And again, I'm not saying it's because we couldn't have kids, but we got a dog, right? So that'll it's a responsibility and blah blah. So we bring the dog home. We looking at Sandy's looking at him. We're just loving this dog to pieces. We're absolutely loving this dog to pieces already. The second I brought him home, Sandy's loving this dog to pieces. So what are we going to name him? Oh, Buddy, this, that. We actually just called him Friday because we picked him up on a Friday and he looked like a Friday. So we buy the dog and bring him home, call him Friday. Saturday, he is sick. Saturday, he's very sick. Sunday, he's extremely sick. We drive him to the emergency vet at some ungodly hour in the night. Emergency vet's on the other side of Hamilton. We get there, emergency vet, a gazillion dollars a minute to talk about your dog. Don't care. They do some tests. He's got 6 different parasites in him. I don't know if we found it that specific night, but for the first week, he had 6 different parasites, and I can't remember any of the names, but we had like a boatload of medication to kill the parasites that he had. But the big one is he also had parvo. Now, again, I'm not a vet. I don't know the specifics of what parvo is, but the vet said dogs that have parvo die. Period. Like it's a virus, and it will kill your dog. It attacks the intestines. It's very, very rare that a dog makes it past parvo. So basically now this dog, after 4 days of owning him, has cost us $2,500. and I call up the store and I said, dudes, you sold us a very, very sick dog. Well, they said, we're not going to cover your vet bills for the weekend, but if you bring him back, we'll give you your money back. And I said, are you going to take care of the dog if I bring him back? Oh no, we're not going to do that. Well, I'm not going to bring him back. Like we are already attached to him. Just 2 days we're already attached to this dog. So for the first couple months, we're giving him pills, we're giving him liquid medicine, we're doing whatever we can. We're taking him to the vet all the time. And since he was a puppy, and since there were some other mitigating circumstances that made him to be healthy, he made it through the parvo. The parvo didn't get him. The vet says we were extremely lucky that the parvo didn't get him. So all of a sudden we have a perfectly healthy dog. After a couple months, we have a perfectly healthy dog, and he's now part of the family, right? And we're taking him places. We're taking him to the park. We're taking him to the lake. We're taking him having a great. And he's just a puppy. He's just like all over everything. And it took me like, and Sandy and I are still completely impressed by this. It took me half a day to potty train him to go outside. That was it. Like he wanted to go outside. He peed in the house once. like actually peed in the house once when he was a puppy. And then I showed him this outside. That's basically, I just told him this outside, and I pointed to the door and I put him at the door, and he seemed to understand intuitively right then. And so every time since then, since he was that day, I think it was a couple weeks into it, I mean, a couple days into it, he peed outside. He sat by the door ever since the first time I showed him that. The only time he piddled on the floor is when he was very excited when somebody came to the door, like if a friend or whatever knocked on the door, he'd run up to the door and he'd have a little piddle. So we always had paper towels by the front door. So anyway, so we have this dog, little Friday. And we're taking care of him. We love him. We go on vacation with him, and blah, blah. And then we find out we're pregnant. and nobody can, like, fault. Nobody can say this is what happened. But I honestly think because we had the dog, it took all the pressure off trying to have a kid for a while. And not that we were putting ourselves underneath a lot of pressure. Consciously, we were not putting ourselves underneath a lot of pressure to have a kid. But we got pregnant not a couple months after we had brought Friday home. And so we were going to have a dog and a kid. And so Josh was born, and Friday was just the most protective dog for Joshua ever. It was just the cutest little thing. We have pictures of Friday looking into the little bassinet when Josh is like just bringing Josh home for the first week, and then Sandy's home for a year with Josh. She took her mat leave, so Friday becomes completely attached to Sandy. I'm just a guy who shows up and pets him every once in a while. Well, he loved me too, but he wherever Sandy went, Friday would follow. Friday was Sandy's little shadow. And what happened was that every time she'd go for a bath, he'd lay down beside the tub. Every time she'd go to bed, he'd hop on the bed and lay beside her. It became Sandy's dog overall. And he loved me, and we had a good time, and we went for runs and whatever. But Friday, by the time Josh was 1 or 2, Friday was Sandy's dog. When Sandy was upset, Friday was upset. It's as simple as that. When Sandy was happy, Friday was happy. And we the rest of us still in the family. I had a good time with the dog. So anyway, years go by, blah, blah, blah. So 2 weeks ago, on a Thursday, he was perfectly fine. Over the last year and a bit, we had to take him to the vet a little bit more for various issues and coughing, spasms, and whatever. And the vet says he is getting old. Now, 13 and a half, we were told that Bichon Poos live between 12 and 16 years old. So 13 and a half doesn't seem to be that old, but it can be old. And considering his youth and a few other incidents that happened between his youth and when he was 13, the vet told us it's amazing that Friday got this far. And it's just because of, quote unquote, the love and caring and the exercise and everything we did for him. Like we were doting on our dog for 13 years. And he had a great life. So Thursday he was perfectly fine. Thursday night he started going down. Friday he wouldn't eat a thing. Saturday he didn't eat a thing. Sunday he would not eat at all. We thought it was because the meds we gave him on Friday for his cough, because he wouldn't stop coughing. He gets very lethargic when he gets his meds for coughing. But Sunday night I'm going, no, this isn't the same thing. And so Monday morning, when our vet opened up at 8 o'clock, I called them up. I said, Friday's been doing this since Friday morning. Bring him in. They say they know who Friday is. He goes there a lot. And the vets are very, very considerate to us. And so I take him over Monday morning. And the second I see the vet look at Friday, I go, this is it. All right, so she said, oh, I'm going to go take him inside and give him an exam. And she came up not 2 minutes later. And she goes, it's time. And I'm getting misty just thinking about it right now. So anyway, Sandy and I had to put Friday down on Monday morning. And it was one of the toughest things I've ever had to do. I mean, it wasn't tough, like impossible. It was the right thing to do. We could have done overwhelming operations and all the other stuff. He had congestive heart failure. There's a whole bunch of stuff that he was done. And he had a good life. And I remind everybody, I don't have to remind everybody, I let Sandy, and we all know this, is that we gave Friday 13 and a half extra years of life that he would not have had had I not bought him on Friday night, because he would have been dead by Monday from the weekend we bought him, because we had him at the emergency vet on Sunday night. And our vet afterwards, on the week after when we're taking our Friday there, said he would have been dead on Monday had we not started the medications with the emergency vet on Sunday. So we gave him 13 and a half extra years of life, and he gave us unlimited time of fun and happiness and joy. So I didn't want to talk about it, but I have to say it. Anywho, on a much happier note, I know Friday is better now. There was no suffering. The vet said he wasn't suffering. He just like I had to carry him around for the weekend. He couldn't walk up the stairs. I had to carry him up and down the stairs over the entire weekend, and I'll remember that because he was all snuggled in my arms and stuff, just like he was when we first bought him. And so it's going to be at some point when I remember just the really sweet and kind and wonderful times we had with our dog. But this has been 2 weeks, and I'm 54 years old, and this was a dog. And so just saying that, something else just popped in my head. And if you ever, it's amazing how I remember TV shows. If you ever watched MASH, there was an episode after Hot Lips stopped being a punchline and that started being an actual bona fide character of the show. But before the end, I'm not sure if it was season 7, 8, or 9, but there's a stray dog in the camp, and she was known to be this cold-hearted person, and she became attached to this dog. And Loretta Swit just completely nailed that. Stoic, cold person, yet absolutely adored the dog. And then the dog died, and she took it very, very hard, and it was just a stray. I remember that a few times over the last 2 weeks, because it's no matter how hard you are, how hard you present yourself, there's going to be something. And I'm not hard. I'm a softie. Everybody knows I'm a softie. I cry in movies. I cry in commercials. I'm not even going to go into that. But this one's tough. Straight up, this one's tough. Sandy and I have both adamantly said we're not going to get another dog again. And I know that people who have had dogs and lost dogs are adamantly say they're never going to have a dog again, and they eventually go get a dog. Honestly, I didn't have a dog since I was a teenager. I got Friday because he just, I don't know, we had a connection the very first time we saw him on Wednesday, and then we had him for 13 and a half years. I think it was meant to be. I also, again, I'm not going to go into all spiritual and serendipity, but I also fundamentally believe that we would not have had Joshua had we not had Friday, had we not bought Friday, because Friday took a lot of pressure off at the right time in our lives. Just a really quick tangent on that. Like when we called Sandy's doctor after Sandy found out with a half a dozen different pea sticks, because we were testing because we weren't supposed to have kids. We called up the doc, and the doc says, you can't be pregnant. All those pregnancy tests have to be wrong because he knows what's going on. And we don't have to go in those details, but he told us clearly we could not have kids. So I honestly think it was all meant to be. And the trip on Wednesday was meant to be, because he looked at us and he was waiting for me on Friday when I went back to the store. And he was a calming influence a lot. He never stopped being a beautiful dog ever, even when he passed away. And he just gave nothing but love and happiness for us over the 13 years. Anyway, I don't want to end on a depressing note, so let's talk about something else really quick. Oh, look, Lego. Sorry. Oh, already 40 minutes. I actually am not going to even talk about Lego now. I'm going to just wrap this up by saying, this because I started with this, 2 new sets. I'm going to probably print those bricks. I'm going to say that again, repeat, this is the last video I'm going to make from this lot, because I have been putting pieces into the collection, so I don't have too many more sitting out here. So I don't think you'll be bored with another movie or another video of me talking about, hey, look, another thing I built from this lot, because I am putting them away. And I'm going to spend some time cleaning my Lego room. I don't know when, because we got lots of camping trips coming up in the near future. I do miss my dog, and I do appreciate all you guys. So you guys all stay safe. Know that everybody here is okay. It's just going to take some time. I've been doing these kind of things to keep my mind off of it, but today was 2 weeks and a day, and today was a little bit hard. I mean, it's just, anyway, I already talked about everything I need to talk about. So you guys all stay safe, take care, and I'll talk to you soon.